right. Hi, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show where we... Oh, don't want to knock over this hard drive. Watch more movies. This is an old Alamo shirt. And let me turn off this. All right. So, we watch old 16mm films. Ones from the AV Geeks archive, and also ones that AV Geeks have digitized for other people. And that one didn't have a title on it. And the can it just said Newsreel 1. So, obviously this was just a random bit of curiosities. I think there was a curiosities newsreel, and there was also an oddities newsreel. And so maybe this was one of those and the title just got taken off. Anyways, what do we got? We're watching a bunch of stuff today. Let's learn about NASA's attempt to map and document the moon before they actually landed on it. This is Close Up on the Moon. Enjoy.
When astronauts stand on the surface of the moon, they will be part of what President Kennedy called the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. But man hasn't arrived there yet. There is still a lot to be learned about this strange, hostile world. As far back as 1959, plans were being made for exploring the surface of the moon with unmanned spacecraft capable of photographing it, analyzing it, and measuring it. In July 1964, Ranger 7 crashed into a remote corner of Mare Nubium, taking over 4,000 pictures of the lunar surface on its way. It took the first close-ups of the moon, and in recognition of this achievement, the area was named Mare Cognitum, sea that has become known. The success of Surveyor 1 is almost legendary. It soft landed on the moon in the Ocean of Storms on the 2nd of June, 1966, and returned over 11,000 photographs of soil, rocks, and topography. It showed the color of the moon's surface and recorded the changing temperatures for more than 3 lunar days and nights. Ranger and Surveyor are part of a carefully planned series of missions designed to photograph and explore the moon's surface and to find the best landing sites for Project Apollo, the manned lunar mission. The third of these unmanned missions is Lunar Orbiter, in which an orbiting satellite takes pictures of the moon and transmits them back to Earth. Over 50,000 square miles of the visible moon's surface have been photographed with 100 times better resolution than has been possible with Earth-based telescopes. 6,000 square miles of it nearly 1,000 times better. Lunar Orbiter is best described as an orbiting photographic laboratory. Unlike earlier photo missions which used a television type of camera, Orbiter takes its pictures on 70mm film. It develops the pictures and stores them until it is time to send them back to Earth. The whole craft is similar to a 4-leaf clover with a thick stem. The leaves contain the solar cells that provide power for the various systems on board. And the stem contains the 2 lenses, the film processing unit, the picture transmission equipment, and the various scientific instruments, such as micrometeorite detectors and radiation counters. At the heart of Lunar Orbiter is the photo system. Pictures are taken simultaneously with the 2 lenses, one close-up and one wide angle. A device called a velocity height sensor determines the speed of the spacecraft relative to the moon's surface, normally over 4,000 miles an hour. As an exposure is being made, it moves the film proportionately to avoid blurring the image. The film then moves into the processor, where it is rolled into contact with a bimat web, a material that has been soaked in a solution that develops and fixes the image. It is then separated from the web and dried. The method of getting the picture from the moon to Earth is one of its most exacting tasks. The film is scanned by a light beam 1/20th as thick as a human hair. As the beam passes through the film, its intensity varies as the density of the image varies, and this variation is detected by a photoelectric cell. This converts the light into electronic signals which are transmitted to Earth. They are then converted back to light, and the picture is reconstructed. Each frame, consisting of one close-up and one wide-angle photo, requires 45 minutes of transmission. A typical lunar orbiter mission begins, after all of the checkout procedures have been completed, with the orbiter perched atop an Atlas Agena launch vehicle at Cape Kennedy, protected by a magnesium shroud.
3, 2, 1, 0.
The Atlas ignites, pushing the spacecraft through the thicker atmosphere. After a little more than 5 minutes, the Atlas engines shut down, and the stage separates and falls away, followed in a few seconds by the shroud. The Agena's second stage engine ignites long enough to place the combination into a parking orbit, a temporary one about 100 miles high, where the attached vehicles coast. When they arrive at an acceptable position from which to head for the moon, the Agena's engines ignite for the second time, boosting the spacecraft out of its parking orbit. The Agena then separates, sending the spacecraft on its way to the moon. Then, on command from Earth, the lunar orbiter begins to assume its familiar shape. The solar panels fold out to pick up the sunlight, and the radio antennas are extended for communications with Earth. A sensor locks onto the sun, aiming the panels so they can begin transforming the sun's energy into needed electricity. Several hours later, another sensor, designed to respond to Canopus, the brightest star in the southern sky, picks it out and locks on it. These two lock-ons are necessary so that ground controllers know the position of the spacecraft for future maneuvers. For the next several hours, the course of the spacecraft is carefully plotted against the known path of the moon. A decision can be made that a mid-course correction is required for perfect aiming. This is accomplished by rolling and pitching the spacecraft to the desired attitude and firing the velocity control engine a given period of time, either to speed it up or slow it down relative to the speed and direction of the moon itself. Orbiter 3, for example, was so accurately started on its way that it needed only a 500-mile adjustment in its initial aiming point. The orbiter arrives at the moon at a speed of about 4,500 miles per hour. If this speed is maintained, it will pass the moon and go on into an orbit of the sun. Once again, at the appropriate time, the spacecraft's attitude is adjusted and the engine is fired to slow it down to 2,200 miles per hour. It is attracted by the moon's gravity and swings into lunar orbit. For several days, the controllers study its orbit to determine precisely where it is. Then, for the third time, it is properly oriented and its velocity lowered to drop it down into its picture-taking orbit, ranging from 1,150 miles to about 28 miles. It is ready to start its photographic mission. The first three orbiters have succeeded in pinpointing the potential landing areas of Apollo, the manned lunar mission. They have returned excellent photographs of the far side of the moon, 10 times better than Earth-based views of the front side. They have surveyed vast areas of the moon with an accuracy never before attainable. They have shown us the ruggedness and the smoothness and some of the complexities of existence in an airless void. They have shown us the Earth as it appears from the moon and opened our eyes to the possibilities of planets like Venus being capable of supporting life. They have shown us our Surveyor spacecraft on the surface and Ranger in it. They have given scientists a wealth of material that will take years to interpret properly. They have assured us that micrometeorites in the vicinity of the moon are hardly more hazardous than near Earth. They have determined the exact size and shape of the moon and accurately defined its gravitational field and its mass. Because results of the basic mission have been achieved, other accomplishments have been made possible. The first lunar orbiters, for instance, surveyed 1/2% of the moon's face. Orbiter 4, in a polar orbit at a higher altitude, photographed 99% of the near lunar surface at a resolution 10 times better than that available before. A team of scientists has outlined over 400 sites they feel are of great scientific interest, many requiring oblique photos, like the startling Copernicus pictures, giving us a different perspective on the lunar surface. Lunar Orbiter, along with Ranger and Surveyor, have added significantly to our knowledge of the moon and its origins. And what is more important, they have provided a solid foundation upon which to base the important decisions that will give our total lunar exploration program meaning and direction in the future.
Oh, I geeked out on that pretty hard. I like the thing in the satellite in space blowing out the little smoke. Poof, poof, poof. So in the comments, I pasted an article about, it was almost 10 years ago, that was written about how some engineers actually helped to look at some old data tapes from some of these lunar reconnaissance orbiters, and were able to pull the data off with some rebuilt Ampex tape decks, and we're able to run it through some modern day image processing, and we're able to get really stunning imagery based on what was captured, and higher resolution, higher definition, really just beyond what was described in this film. And the thing is, in this film, there was some awesome stuff here, but that banding issue was taken care of mostly, and they were able to really kind of suss out better imagery from it. And they did it all in an abandoned McDonald's that was at Ames, NASA Ames, which is I've seen NASA Ames when I went to kind of drive past Google. It's very close. So, yeah, pretty great. All right, now we're going to watch a triggering film that was designed to be a triggering film called the Work Prejudice film. Enjoy.
Hello, this is Robert Vaughn, and I want to talk to you about people, work, and prejudices. You've just seen different people in different jobs. Some of them look pretty familiar in their jobs, don't they? They seem to fit the role. This is what we call a stereotype. A black laborer, a Mexican farmer, a white lawyer. This is what we've come to expect from these people and these jobs. But does this always have to be the case? Do certain people always have to fit into certain kinds of jobs? Or is there more to people and work than meets the eye?
Hop, 2, 3, 4, hop, 2, 3, 4, hop, 2.
Funny, isn't it? Imagine a female drill sergeant.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, man.
See you next week.
A black running a Chinese laundry.
I'm a surgeon. There aren't that many women doctors in the United States. But in some other countries, women are in the majority in the field of medicine.
Never happened, you say? I'll let you in on something. Do you know that 28% of all professional career positions are held by women? And 24% of all office managers in the state of California are Orientals. Not so ridiculous after all. Things are changing for people, and things will continue to change. There are jobs available, exciting jobs, challenging jobs, and they're available to anyone who wants to go after them.
Who says that you have to be black or Spanish to empty trash? Just because I'm white doesn't mean I can't get my hands dirty or bend over. I like hard work and I enjoy being out in the air.
There are lots of women, both enlisted and officers, serving in just about every area you can name.
Just because I'm a full-blooded Indian, Sioux by the way, doesn't mean that I can't like music or play the piano, or enjoy Mozart for that matter. I love music and make my living writing and performing it.
I've been a domestic for 5 years and worked in all kinds of households. Some people expect me to be black or something when I come to the door, but a lot of people nowadays accept the idea that you don't have to be a certain color to work at a certain job.
I've heard all the big dumb slob jokes. I don't believe that me or most of the other guys that work here fit into that type of person. We're all different. I'm in construction because I like to work with my hands and breathe fresh air.
An Oriental bank official isn't that far off. Since I've been here, for example, we've been using the Equal Opportunities Program to recruit minorities who wouldn't even have been aware of the job openings beforehand.
We're the part of a new league that's trying to get started. About every man I meet gets a real laugh out of women football players. They think it's crazy, but I don't agree. I mean, I wouldn't go one-on-one with a professional lineman, but our type of football is just as exciting as theirs.
I'm a male nurse, a registered nurse in an intensive care unit at a major medical center. The trend today is more men getting into nursing, going away from the stereotype of just having females. I was first exposed to medicine when I was in Vietnam and operated as a medic.
A lot of the people that come here for help are racial minorities. And they think that, because you are white, that you don't care for them. That you only want to go into the ghetto between 9 and 5 and get out with your skin. So it's tough getting by a lot of people's prejudices or for them to open up to you, to get them to trust you so that they can see that you really do care about them.
I guess some people still think that the only black doctors they know about have a bone in their nose and cook missionaries. But I really think that's changed, especially around here. Most people have faith in my ability as a doctor, not whether I'm black, white, or yellow. Well, most of the time.
Even with my training, a lot of people didn't think I could do the job. To them, I was just one of those subversive Orientals. I had a very difficult time trying to prove myself. It took a long time before they gave me any challenging assignments.
Sometimes we joke about racism, nationality, things like that. Bean eater, tamale eater, I've heard them all. They don't bother me though.
Almost everyone who dials the operator really expects to hear a female voice. They're all taken back by hearing a man's voice. Until now, I guess, being a telephone operator was one of those jobs everyone thought only a woman should do. But like everything else, that's even changing.
You don't have to be Chinese to own a lunch. I've been working here since I was a kid. Used to help my father after school. Now I run the place since he's gone. I don't think people thought it was funny that I wasn't Oriental or something. People around here don't care about that. They judge me by the work that I do. And that's pretty good.
Different people in different fields. That's what makes up what we call the workforce. Everybody who has to work for a living, and most of us do, are part of this workforce. The paper boy, the bank president, the school teacher, all these people work for a living. To most people, this work ethic is good. To some people, not working may even be considered evil. It is a fact that a boy graduating from high school today can expect to spend more than 45 years on the workforce. A similar girl can expect to work more than 25 years. With that much time ahead, doesn't it make sense to think about the kind of career you really want? There are so many exciting possibilities. Proper preparation is a serious proposition, even though we tend to kid ourselves and each other about some of the jobs we do.
Definition of a policeman? The only people who are paid to go around pinching people in the wrong places.
Definition of an archaeologist? That's a man whose career lies in ruins.
Definition of an accountant? One who can make money by cutting down on someone else's expenses.
Definition of a lawyer? A man who gets you what's coming to him.
The definition of an army captain is a man with 2 chips on his shoulder.
A definition of a dentist is a man who lives from hand to mouth.
The definition of a truck driver is a man who runs into so many nice people.
You've probably heard some of those corny jokes before, but the range of employment is very wide, and because of this range, working conditions can vary greatly from job to job. A construction worker, for example, works largely outdoors, where the weather may be extremely hot or cold. The work is very hard, consisting of loading, moving, and stacking heavy materials. On the other hand, the secretary may work in an air-conditioned office with carpeting and piped-in music. Her work is much less physical as compared to our construction worker. As you can see, each job has its own set of rules under which it is performed. It is important, before a person chooses a field of employment, to become familiar with what each job demands, and to determine if one can qualify for that particular field of work, and of course, whether he likes that type of work or not.
I like being outdoors. I could never be cooped up in an office all day. I enjoy meeting people on my route, and this job has a lot of financial security.
I work for a fantastic doctor and I enjoy helping the people. It's great working the dental profession.
I really like to do body work. Most of our work is custom work, so it's fun. I dig it.
I like to work and keep busy. Here I get to meet the public every day.
I like baking. I like anything that is creative. I feel I'm helping people out by making their birthday cakes or wedding cakes.
I have been in this profession for the past 10 years. It's a 24-hour-a-day job. No 2 families are alike. No 2 situations are the same.
I like selling. I know most women like jewelry. I know I'd rather be selling something I like than car batteries or tires.
I've always liked books and liked to read. Even though I consider this a temporary job, I enjoy helping people find books when they come around.
My wife and I started these garage sales and we really made a lot of money. So we decided to go into it full-time and learn to be auctioneers.
I was taking law courses in college and thought I really wasn't learning anything. So I took this job, and in the 2 years I've been here, I've been able to apply much of what I did learn in school.
90% of the police work probably isn't as exciting as the stuff you see on TV. But I think it can be stimulating and rewarding for the individual officer. Working on a case is like assembling a big puzzle, and I like that kind of creative thinking.
I took this job originally because I didn't want to commute a long ways. After 10 years, I feel like I'm part of the business. I sort of run this office when the boss is away, which is quite often. I like that kind of responsibility.
Well, I feel that I'm really doing something for these people when I help them with their problems. And some of them are really bad off. But it's really the sense of satisfaction you get that makes the job worthwhile.
The Air Force gave me the opportunity I needed to learn to fly. When I get out, I hope to fly for the commercial airlines. The pay is fantastic, and I like to fly.
It's not a glamorous job, but I love to get behind the wheel, relax, see the countryside. It gives you sort of a free feeling, like you're your own boss.
It's a responsibility that I like. The doctor has a small office, and I can help him in a lot of areas that I wouldn't have a chance to work in if I were in a hospital. I find handling that much responsibility very satisfying.
I came in the Army to get an education because I couldn't afford to go to school on my own on the outside. Working and going to school all the time was just taking up all my time. Now I go to school on my job. It's part of my duty.
I used to work on the line like these guys. Now I run the whole day shift. I love city life, and you could never get me out on the farm.
I'm happy. I have my wife and kids helping me on the farm. You couldn't get me back into that city, cooped up in that factory. I like the fresh air and working outside every day.
Opportunities of almost every kind. Equal employment opportunities. And you have a choice. Oh, but it wasn't always so. Through the advent of unions and governmental intervention, as well as better economic and educational standards, we have seen much progress toward better career opportunities. Though it is true that occasionally such problems as job discrimination still exist, we have come a long, long way from those earlier days. Most of us need to work, to be gainfully employed, hopefully in the career, the occupation, in which we can find personal satisfaction, in doing a job we like to do and doing it well. This brings us to a most important point. Employment opportunities for the unskilled or semi-skilled worker are disappearing. They're going fast. The age of the specialist is here. What to do about it? Choose your career, your occupation. There are many choices open to almost every one of you. Learn the requirements for those jobs that most appeal to you. You'll find help and guidance all around you. And then prepare through education, through training. Seek the skills needed to make yourself a valued and valuable member of the greatest workforce in the world. Ask yourself, what do you want to do now and maybe for the rest of your life?
Robert Vaughn can rock a he can rock a vest. He's always got that vest. He might have a jacket on, but when he was doing the attorney commercials in North Carolina, what was the name of it? I can't even remember what the but he was just wearing a vest. But so that film's fascinating. Lots of outdated terms there, and certainly an opportunity to soapbox. But I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Instead, let's learn about the little black lamb.
Mary loved to visit her grandfather's farm in the early spring. Of all the things on the farm, she liked most to watch the lambs grazing in the meadow. This year there was a little black lamb in the flock. It was Gramps' favorite. But Mary liked the white lambs better. She liked the way the sun glistened through the white fleece. She'd always wanted a lamb. There was a place at home where she could keep it, and her father had said it would be all right. Mary teased and teased, but Gramps only laughed. All he would say was, "We'll see." One day, as Mary was coming home from school, she saw her grandfather's truck parked in front of the house.
Oh, look, he found my lamb, he found my lamb. Gramps, you brought it.
Yep, it's here, Mary.
Is it in the pen?
No, it's in the truck. Come with me, I'll get it for you.
Mary was thrilled, and so were her friends. They couldn't wait to see the lamb. But when Gramps brought the present out of the truck, it was Mary who was surprised. She'd expected one of the little white lambs. She tried her best not to let Gramps see that she didn't like his present. Mary's mother could see how disappointed she was in not getting a white lamb, but she had a plan.
Remember, you promised to take care of him, Mary.
Oh, I'll keep my promise.
That's good.
Gramps put the lamb in its pen and asked Mary what she was going to call her new pet.
I don't know, Gramps. I can't think of anything. What did you call him? John, Mikey, or Ginger, or Jackie. Blackie, that's what I'll call him.
Gramps told Mary how to take care of Blackie by feeding him oats and alfalfa hay and keeping water in his pen. Mary promised that she would, and she remembered to thank Gramps for her present. That little black lamb. Mary kept her promise to take good care of Blackie. At first, he was afraid of her, but she fed him twice a day and kept water in his pen. The school pet show was coming soon. That was one reason Mary had wanted a lamb. But now she wasn't sure.
David, how would you like to tell us about your pet?
Well, I have a dog named Ginger. She can speak, roll over, and even shake hands. I have a cat named Rossi, but she can't do any tricks. Cats can never do any tricks, isn't that right, Miss Evans?
Not very often, Joel. Walter, would you like to tell us about your pet?
I have a big turtle. I caught him last summer and kept it all winter. I have a pet skunk.
That's very interesting. Mary, what about yours?
Well, my pet, it isn't a real pet, Miss Evans.
What sort of pet is it, Mary?
Well, it's a lamb. Yeah, just like in the story, Mary had a little lamb. Squeeze was wet as snow. Yeah, that's right. Well, you see, Miss Evans, it isn't like that. It's a black lamb. A black lamb?
But as Mary took care of Blackie, he began to grow used to her. By the time the day of the pet show had come, he would actually eat right from her hands. She was very pleased. Mary liked to brush his wool. How curly it was. How it glistened in the sunlight. Blackie loved having his coat brushed and was very still. A light blue ribbon around his neck would look very nice, Mary thought. Suddenly she realized how much she'd come to love Blackie. Maybe he could go to the pet show after all. She ran to tell her mother the good news. But look. Poor Blackie was lost and didn't know what to do. That afternoon, Mary went out to get Blackie ready for the pet show.
What is it?
Blackie's missing.
Oh, dear, how could he possibly have got away?
It's my fault. I must have left the gate
Oh,
open.
he's probably right close by. He'll turn up, I'm sure.
I'm going to go look for him.
Mr. Peterson, their next-door neighbor, hadn't seen the lamb. Kelly boys down the street hadn't seen him. The mailman hadn't seen him either, but he promised to keep an eye out for him. show, everyone was having lots of fun. But it was a sad time for Mary. David was there with his dog Ginger. Alice was there with her cat. And there was Joel and his baby squirrel. Nancy and her pet skunk. And Walter with his big turtle. Mary was almost ready to cry. And then she felt someone tap her shoulder. It was Mr. Jackson, the mailman. Then on, Mary and Blackie were the best of friends.
Yeah, it was touch and go there for a second with Blackie. Yeah. Encyclopedia Britannica, they don't go tragic with animals. Cornet, I don't think does either. Although, wait a minute. I think a rabbit dies in Why Vandalism. Or it's hinted at dying. You don't actually see it. Alright, so I've got some films, some public service announcements that were shown on television in the 70s. And I'm hoping that we haven't seen these before. Like, I kind of watched a couple of them, and I don't remember showing them before. But these are ones that are set up on the telecine. And you'll notice that they're not on a reel. They're actually on a core. And a core... I have an example of a core that I can show you. Yeah. This is a big example. This is a 4-inch core. And so that's one way you can store film. Instead of having it on a reel, you have it on a cord, and it's tightly packed on there. Let me see if I have another example. Yeah. All this talk about show and tell to pets makes me want to show and tell. All right, so here's an example of a film on a core, and this is tightly packed on here. You got to be careful though, don't press on it, because if this core pops out, then it's at least an hour of work to get the film wound on again, because it won't go back in. So I'm averaging one of those a year. It just kind of happens. Anyways, so there's for the telecine to accommodate that, there's this plate back here. Then there's a special little thing. So, there you go. Anyways, these we got from a filmmaker in Portland. And he got them from some guy who used to work at a TV station who had boxes and boxes of them. And I visited this filmmaker and he picked out ones that he liked and he didn't want the rest. So he gave the rest to me. And then I shipped them back to Raleigh. And then we... interns and volunteers built them all up on reels because they're all on these little tiny orange reels or yellow reels or blue reels. So here are some public service announcements, and I'm hoping these ones you haven't seen before, but we'll just run with it. So enjoy.
The cigarette world is divided into the bad and the worse. This is bad. This is worse. This has twice as much tar and nicotine. There's as much tar and nicotine in one of these as in two of these. That's quite a difference. As a matter of fact, you can buy as much as 34 milligrams of tar in a cigarette, or as little as 2. As much as 2.1 milligrams of nicotine, or as little as 0.2. With 130 different cigarettes on the market, you can certainly find one with a lot less tar and nicotine than the one you're smoking. Not a good cigarette, just one that isn't as bad. The Public Health Service has a free tar and nicotine list that shows them all. Send for it. Look them up. If you must smoke, at least bad is better than worse.
Teenagers, you're on the go from sunup to sundown. From summer's start to summer's last leap at the ball. Where does your energy come from? No mystery. You get your energy from food. Hot dogs? Sure. Oranges? Great. That's vitamin food. Lots of fruits and vegetables. More vitamins and minerals. Milk, too. Do right by all the foods, and they'll do right by you.
Information, write U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Washington, D.C., 20460.
I'm Lieutenant Commander Bob Frischman. As a former prisoner of war, I have a special interest in the thousands of guys who are recovering in veterans and military hospitals. Months or years in a hospital produce an unbelievable agony of loneliness and boredom. Help Hospitalized Veterans will send a craft kit in your name to help fill the long, empty hours with creative activity. Please send your check today to Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego, California. I'm Lieutenant Commander Bob Frischman. As a former prisoner of war, I have a special interest in a group of young Americans. They are the thousands of guys who are still recovering from serious injuries. It is difficult to imagine the anxiety and the frustration of a young man whose plans for the future have been abruptly changed by a disability. The months or years of hospital confinement produce an almost unbelievable agony of loneliness and boredom. You can help by supporting the Help Hospitalized Veterans Craft Kit program. For each $6, Help Hospitalized Veterans will send a craft kit in your name, a gift from you to help fill the long, empty hours with creative activity. Please demonstrate your personal concern. Send a check today to Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego, California. Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego.
I'm Sebastian Cabot. Thousands of our boys must spend agonizing months or even years in veterans' hospitals, suffering the loneliness and boredom of confinement. You can help with a Help Hospitalized Veterans Craft Kit, a kit sent in your name to fill hours of emptiness and despair with creative activity. Please send whatever you can to Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego, California. Box 30, San Diego. Hello, I'm Sebastian Cabot. Thousands of our young men are destined to spend agonizing months or even years recovering in veterans and military hospitals. Their boredom and pain compounded by the fear and uncertainty of their futures. You can help by sending these young men something constructive to occupy their time. You can send a Help Hospitalized Veterans Craft Kit, a gift of arts and crafts to fill the long, empty hours with satisfying creative activity. For each $6, a kit will be sent in your name to a sick or wounded veteran in one of 300 hospitals across America. Our hospitalized veterans need to know you care. Please send whatever you can today to Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego, California. Help Hospitalized Veterans, Box 30, San Diego.
Now, be careful, Mama. Don't drag any pests back from Aunt Mildred's.
Huh, who are you? I've been growing and transplanting flowers all my life.
I'm telling you, Mama, there's all kinds of bugs you can cart back in potting soil.
Bugs, schmugs, what do you know? You were supposed to be a doctor.
You'll be sorry.
That's nice.
Well, what did you bring back this time?
It's a bougainvillea.
Yeah! So. Oh, that's a Japanese beetle, of course. There's a nematode, there's an earwig, little termite. Swapping plants, transplanting. Find out which plants can be safely moved. Call your agriculture quarantine office. Check in a phone book under U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Belton P. Morris, president of the Animal Protection Institute of America. We need your help. Every 60 seconds during the trapping season, a steel jaw trap springs shut on a member of the animal world. Watch this. These animals die a slow, agonizing death of starvation, thirst, freezing, fear. Many times the animal will chew off his foot in a desperate attempt to save itself. We are a nation who put man on the moon, yet we treat our fellow creatures with primitive and barbaric cruelty. These animals are killed for their fur. Furs are a luxury item, and it takes as many as 60 small animal skins for one coat. Think of the immense pain and suffering each coat represents. You can help. Send for this free brochure and send a contribution if you can. Write API Box 22505, Sacramento, California. That's API Box 22505, Sacramento, California.
Guns? Sure, I can tell you about guns. They're small, they're expensive, they're easy to resell. Most of the time, they're pretty easy to get. Last week, I smashed in a glass case in a hardware store. I picked up over 50 handguns just like that. And there's always somebody willing to lay out cold cash for a gun that can't be traced. There's two things I look for. First, how easy is it for me to get in? And second, how fast I can get the merchandise and get out. Now you take this place. Merchandise is right where I like to see it. Open gun racks, not a chain in the place. Ammo right next to the guns, and handguns in glass cases. Even a jeweler locks up his best stuff in a vault at night, and sometimes getting into the stores is just as easy. And some people never even heard of a security alarm.
Police! Freeze!
Then again, some people have.
This is Chuck Connors for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Remember, your stolen gun threatens everyone.
Guns? Sure, I can tell you about guns. They're small, they're expensive, they're easy to resell. Now you take this place. Merchandise is right where I like to see it. Open gun racks, not a chain in the place. Ammo right next to the guns, and handguns in glass cases. Some people never even heard of security alarms.
Police! Freeze!
Then again, some people have.
This is Chuck Connors for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Remember, your stolen gun threatens everyone. I'm Chuck Connors for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. There are more than 700,000 stolen firearms in circulation. Remember, your stolen gun threatens everyone.
Si cree que usar drogas es un pasatiempo.
What an image to end up on. Sorry. Wow. Okay. So the Fox footage and that was made for television, and I don't know if it was ever shown or not. You can't tell. I mean, it was certainly distributed to TV stations, and this was distributed to a TV station in Portland, Oregon, but did it get shown? I don't know. Anyhow, I love watching these public service announcements because there's these little micro capsules of what was going on at the time and since they're PSAs, they're almost all related to some sort of social issue, whether it's donating to Christmas seals, or because there's still a tuberculosis problem, or if it was related to your gun getting stolen. And Chuck Connors, formerly known as the Rifleman, telling you, like, hey, you might want to consider reporting that your gun was stolen because it's going to show up possibly in a crime. and so those I find are really interesting quick little nuggets. And the fact that they have all these celebrities in there or people you've never heard of before, who used to be celebrities, really, really kind of fascinating. And ultimately, this is why I like collecting films, because of that. Because they're these niche, little, tiny glimpses into culture and what we were doing back in the day, and what was important to us, what we were concerned about, what we were striving towards. That's why I collect films. And also to solicit you for coffee. So thank you, Jim, for buying us some coffee. Some caffeine always helps. I just was talking to my assistant, who we went through a can of, or he went through all these cans of films. Excuse me. And he basically, these are just the 400-foot reels. And he just basically showed me, these are the ones that are too far gone, where the vinegar has taken over. And some of these are not surprising. Curiosities was one that I knew was beat. Some of these, I'm sad. Chimp the Aviator, Chimp the Sailor, the airship Hindenburg. Oh, that's sad, because that actually had not only footage of the Hindenburg blowing up, which we've all seen, but it also had footage of the Hindenburg before. Like when it was first launched and all that stuff. Oh, the Bully. So he went through easily probably 300 or 400 films. And yeah. Anyways, so I have to pull these out of the database now. It's what happens. You know, there is an attrition to when we collect films. Gosh, I'm awfully chatty today. So anyways, thanks so much for tuning in this week. Just zoom by. And we'll be back on Monday with some more 16mm films to show you. Because we, believe it or not, even though we have some films that are vinegared and can't be shown anymore, we still have a lot more. We have tens of thousands of more that we haven't seen. And I'm happy that you're there to join us. So one of the ways you can support us besides buying us coffee is just telling the world that you like AV Geeks by just hitting the like button or the thumbs up button. That adds some points to some sort of algorithm and will introduce us to other people. And I love your eyeballs, but I want more eyeballs. I want access to more eyeballs. So everybody have a great rest of your day. As always, please rewind and love each other. Love yourself as well. Take care of yourself. Very important to connect with other people in your life, even if it's just a phone call, just to say, hey, just thinking about you. We'll see you on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care.